You're listening to the Chad HD Show on demand. Good for you. Now download the KFYO app and listen live weekday afternoons 5 to 7 p.m. Central.
Broadcasting from the great state of Texas, this is the Chad Hasty Show. News and views with a Lone Star perspective. You can sound off during the show by sending Chad a text at 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. Or call in at 1-800-687-0790. Now, here's Chad Hasty.
Good evening, Lubbock, Amarillo, Abilene, Wichita Falls, Midland, Odessa, over in Dallas, Fort Worth, down in Houston, and anywhere else, inside or outside the great state of Texas, wherever you may be listening. Welcome into the Chad HD Show, where we have breaking news out of Lubbock, Texas. Like just as we got on air, breaking news out of Lubbock, Texas, that we'll get to here in just a couple of minutes. First, need to tell you how you can get in touch with the show. We like to visit with you on a wide range of issues. You can text in at 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. You can call in at 1-800-687-0790. That's 1-800-687-0790. You can also get in touch on social media at Chad HD Radio. That's at Chad HD Radio on social media, including the X, where you can get in touch with us. So we've got a lot to get into on the program today. We had a couple of shootings making national headlines today, including one on the campus of UNLV that we'll talk about. Governor Abbott weighed in on primary challenges. We'll talk about that. Doug Kelly with the American Edge Project will join us at 5:35 as we talk about cybersecurity. We talk about AI in China. So we're looking forward to speaking with Doug Kelly with the American Edge Project at 5:35 this evening. Your spotlight on Texas business brought to you by Texas Mutual. We'll have that at right around 5:50, and then we've got some Trump news to get into. And, oh, yeah, there's another debate tonight, another Republican primary presidential debate, minus Donald Trump. He won't be on stage. Will you be watching? Will you watch tonight's debate? And if so, what are you looking for? Why are you watching? What are you looking for in tonight's debate? So we've got all of that to get into, and also some breaking news out of Lubbock. As I began the show, Lubbock Mayor Trey Payne will not be seeking a second term as mayor of Lubbock. There's been a lot of talk about this, a lot of chatter behind the scenes about whether or not Trey Payne was going to seek a second term. He announced just as we got on the air today, he sent out a press release and posted on X as well. I am announcing today that I will not seek a second term as mayor of Lubbock. Over 2 years ago, Heidi and I felt the call for me to serve the city as mayor. We wanted to honor the importance of giving back to our community through leadership. There is a season for everything in life, and at this time and in this season, I need to step aside so others may serve this great community. However, my family will continue to be involved in the stewardship of Lubbock and West Texas. It's been an honor to serve on the city council. Rest assured that we will keep working hard until my current term expires in May. So, now off to the races as we get to see who exactly is going to run for mayor. We already have one candidate who's out there, and with Adam Hernandez announcing what I guess officially on Monday. I think he pretty much announced it this past Friday. There was some thought that maybe this was going to force Trey Payne to make a decision one way or the other, or maybe up his announcement at time, that maybe he wasn't ready to make an announcement just yet. But with with people announcing, with candidates off and running. You had Tim Collins, who announced he's running for District 6 in the Lubbock City Council race. Now you have maybe some current members of the City Council. We have to look and see, okay, is it time for them to run? Does Steve Massengill look at running for mayor? Does Jennifer Wilson look at running for mayor? What happens next? And so, this will definitely move some dominoes, and we'll see what in future announcements take place. But this happening or being announced right as the music began here on the program. So there we go. Breaking news out of Lubbock today, as the mayor, Trey Payne, will not be seeking a second term. 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. Is there someone you'd like to see run for mayor? Is there someone out there you would like to see run for mayor? You can text in, let us know your thoughts on that. Let's see, 1-800-687-0790. We'll start with some news out of the state of Texas. 6 people dead in Texas, a shooting spree over 8 hours. Including a couple discovered at home at Grizzly scene, suspect charged with capital murder. 6 people are dead after a series of shootings lasting through the day and evening Tuesday in Austin and in San Antonio. Police believe the killings are related. The shooting started in the morning in Austin, extended into the evening. The first victim was a school resource officer who was shot just before 10:45 a.m. on Tuesday. A man and woman were found fatally shot in an Austin home a few hours later. Then a bicyclist reported being shot just before 5 p.m. in Austin. That person expected to survive. Around 6 p.m., Austin police responded to a burglary call at another home. Man at the scene opened fire on police. One of the officers was hit multiple times, sustaining non-life-threatening injuries, but the suspect sped away. Police chased the suspect, which ended in a crash. The armed suspect was arrested. Shane James, 34, booked into jail on 4 counts of capital murder just after 2:30 a.m. Travis County jail records show. Austin police, contacting Bexar County officials, alerted them about the shooting, said the suspect had a connection to a home in their area. Sheriff deputies went to a San Antonio home, saw liquid leaking out of a residence. When they forced their way in, they found 2 dead people, believed to be a man and a woman in their 50s. Bexar County Sheriff described it as a, quote, pretty grisly crime scene at a news conference. That story out of the Messenger. And then had a active shooter situation at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Story happening this afternoon. University police at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas responded Wednesday to an active shooter. University UNLV posted on X that police were responding to an active shooter at the Frank and Estella Beam Hall, which is the college business school. Police said the suspect dead, saying there are 3 victims. The extent of injuries is unknown. The police did say there was no more threat to the community. Suspect is deceased. Right now, there are 3 victims, unknown extent of the injuries, at least according to Fox News. So that's just a couple of the big breaking news stories happening this afternoon here in Lubbock and around the state and around the U.S. 806-680-2790. And then, of course, we have the big debate happening tonight. Kim in Lubbock saying, hell no, not watching. It's a waste of time. think a lot of people probably feel that way. This could be one of the better debates, actually, that we see with the moderators who are going to be there. But unfortunately, I don't know if anyone knows where to find the News Nation debate. I think it's going to be on like the CW. I don't know if I even get the CW, but it's going to be on the CW and other channels. I guess just start flipping around, see if you can find it somewhere if you are interested. We'll get into some of the particulars of the debate, why it matters, if it does matter, why it may not matter at the end of the day as well. So we'll get into all of that throughout the show. Your phone calls, your text messages, lots of texts coming in. We'll get to those when we come back here on the Chad Hasty Show.
The Chad Hasty Show can be heard all over West Texas, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Tune in on News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO in Lubbock, News Talk 940 in Amarillo, News Talk 94.7 and 1470 KYYW in Abilene, and in Wichita Falls on News Talk 96.3 and 1290. The Chad Hasty Show. Make it a part of your drive home, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton. Thursday edition Clay Travis, Buck Sexton show. We will break down the fourth and potentially final Republican primary debate before voting begins in Iowa and in New Hampshire. Plus, Buck.
Looking at how the Israel-Hamas war continues to progress and the voices here at home that continue to show their anti-Semitism. We'll discuss that coming up on Clay and Buck.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, tomorrow morning at 11.
The Chad Hasty Show brought to you by... All right, welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show. 1-800-687-0790. You can send in your thoughts on the text line, 806-680-2790. The fourth Republican presidential debate happening this evening. And, I guess some of the big things to look for, we'll get more into detail on this coming up in the next hour. But how many fights do Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy get in? It'll be they've had a knockdown, drag out. Seems like every single time. Again, Trump is just dominating every single poll that's out there. CNN with a piece, former President Donald Trump continues to lead the Republican presidential field by around 40 percentage points. See? This is why, it's all fun and games on the debate stage tonight, but unless Trump's there, does it really matter? Does it really mean anything? No. Behind Trump, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has about 17% support. Former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley has 11%. Remember when she was supposed to be surging? I guess she surged all the way up to 11%. Vivek Ramaswamy has 5%. It's time for him to drop out. Former Governor of New Jersey, Chris Christie, at 3%. Time for him to go, too. And Asa Hutchinson, who, for whatever reason, is still in the race at 1%. Haley's numbers have shown the most change over time, rising from 3% in mid-summer up to 7% in early October, and her current double-digit average support now at 11%. Woo! 11%. She may catch Trump within the next 2 years. She's getting pretty close. So's Ron DeSantis. Within the next 2 years, they might get towards Trump polling numbers if they stay on this track. 63% of Trump supporters say they would have preferred a primary where other GOP candidates step aside in favor of Trump. Among Republican and Republican-leaning voters not backing Trump, 51% say some candidates should drop out. So it could be a two-person race with just one candidate facing Trump. 44% said the remaining candidates should stay in the race and let the chips fall where they may during the primaries. 54% of majority of GOP-aligned voters in the Monmouth poll say that Trump is definitely the strongest Republican candidate to beat Joe Biden. That up from 45% who said so in a May survey from Monmouth. Let's see. Textures coming in here. Remember, when you text in, let us know who you are. We like to know that, where you're listening from. One texter saying, I don't blame him. I'm talking about Trey Payne. Texter saying that they don't blame him for not running. Why is that? Why do you not blame him? What do you think is bad about being mayor? Rob C., I don't think so. Saying, let's start a breaking new rumor that Chad Hasty is running for mayor of Lubbock. No, I don't live in the city, so I can't do it. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't do it. I don't live in the city of Lubbock. I know people think I'm joking. I don't. I live outside the city. Texter, Cole Shooter for mayor. Now, see, I think he lives in the city. Texter, Paul R. Bean for mayor. He's too busy fishing. Another texter, Chad, I would like to formally nominate you. I mean, that's very nice of you, but even if I wanted to, I couldn't. I guess I could be like a Democrat and just lie about where I live, but no, I don't want to do that. Another texter, wait, what debate is this? It's the fourth one. Lucky number 4. On News Nation, Megyn Kelly is going to be one of the debate moderators. Another texter, Hollywood, Trump needs to show up for one debate or he will not get my vote. Well, what does that mean? You're not going to vote for him in the primary, or you're not going to vote for him in the general election if he's the nominee? I think he should show up to a debate. I think he should. I think that there are some questions that he should have to answer. Let's see. Is the debate going to be at Premier Cinema tonight? Are you all? No, we're not hosting a debate watch party tonight. We're debated out. We look at it this way. Until Trump is on stage, that's when it really matters. And we appreciated everybody who came out and joined us out at the Premier Cinemas and the debate watch parties, and we'll probably have some during the general election. We'll have more of these debate watch parties. But this time of year, one, everyone is so busy with things. You have forget about the debate. You've got different programs going on with schools. Kids in schools, they've got different programs going on. You've got Christmas parties that are already firing up. By the end of the day, yesterday at this time, and Nick, I'm not even joking here. Yesterday at this time, I had no Christmas parties that I was attending. None. That were official that I was going to. Now I'm locked into 3 parties. Like within 24 hours, it's like, oh, wow, okay. A flurry of invitations went out. So I'm locked in. I got three parties that I'm going to. One of them's where you take it's kind of like a white elephant gift party, but they're supposed to be good gifts, not gag gifts. Always get the really good gifts out there, I get something good. Last year at a white elephant party, you know what I did? The summer sausage, meat and cheese. The meat and cheese tray that you can get. Oh, that was a favorite. That got stolen like 3 or 4 times. Texture, the vice presidential debate. I don't think Vivek is going to be the VP. I don't think Ron DeSantis is going to be VP. Nikki Haley, it's possible, but that's about it. Chad Eastie's already the mayor of Common Senseville. I like that. 806-680-2790. Governor Abbott, mum on another special session. I don't think it's going to happen. He has, as the Texas Tribune puts it, the governor mum on a special session as he charges into voucher opponents' primary battles. They're not vouchers. But okay, you got to go with voucher. You got to go with the line vouchers. But they're not vouchers. Vouchers are different. Governor Abbott keeping lawmakers in suspense about whether he will call yet another special session to try and pass school vouchers, school choice, as he gets more deeply involved in their primaries, making endorsements that are increasingly bold. Yeah, I don't think it'll happen. Even the lieutenant governor last night, he didn't think it was going to happen. When we come back, we're going to switch gears, talk cybersecurity with Doug Kelly, the American Edge Project, here on the Chad Hasty Show.
Chad Hasty's Spotlight on Texas Business every Wednesday afternoon from 5 to 7 p.m. Brought to you by Texas Mutual Insurance. Texas safe, Texas strong.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Veterans, have you downloaded the VA Health and Benefits mobile app? It makes it easy to manage your health care and benefits. In a newer feature, the app lets you review your VA prescriptions. Download the app on your iPhone or the Google App Store, or wherever you get your mobile apps. That's the VA Health and Benefits mobile app.
We live Texas. We breathe Texas. The landmarks, the swagger, and the lore make us who we are. We devour the tastes and the smells of our state. You just might say there's something in the air. So do your part to help protect it. Keep your tires at the correct pressure and avoid idling at drive-thrus. Both help reduce emissions. For tips, visit drivecleantexas.org. Drive Clean Texas. Live and breathe it. Brought to you by TxDOT.
The Chatty.
Texas News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO. Don't you forget about Chad at Chad Hasty Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and on your radio. Now back to the Chad Hasty Show.
All right, welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show. 1-800-687-0790. You can text in at 806-680-2790. My next guest, CEO of the American Edge Project, as we take a look at what's happening with American innovation, AI, China, and, the American Edge on our adversaries. Joining us is Doug Kelly here on the Chad Hasty Show. Mr. Kelly, welcome to the program. How are you this evening?
Hey, Chad, thanks so much for having me. I'm doing great.
Great. Appreciate you joining us today. And actually, I'm looking here at your account on X, and something that we were planning on talking about anyway, you just sent out, and that is talking about artificial intelligence, something that I think a lot of folks are still kind of wrapping their minds around. You know, what is the future of AI? How does is it going to be a good thing? Is it going to be a harmful thing? And how can it benefit the United States? And how can, at the same time, you've got foreign adversaries like China who they want to try to get ahead of us when it comes to AI?
Oh, man, you're exactly right. So let's just set the table by saying that America and China are in a no-holds-barred competition for global tech leader. And whoever wins that contest is going to have a decades-long advantage when it comes to national security, economic growth, and the advancement of that country's values across the globe. And make no mistake, it matters greatly which country builds the future, because the U.S. and China have two very diametrically opposed sets of values.
Right.
So kind of that's the starting point, right? And so the U.S. has always been the global tech leader. But China over the last 10 years has made a very deliberate effort saying, look, the West is in decline, the United States is in decline, China can be number one in the world as a superpower by 2040, but technology is the horse that we're going to ride. And so they have a three-part plan to take that leadership. First, they've invested trillions of dollars in building their capabilities, in microchips, in artificial intelligence, in 5 and 6G technologies. Second, whatever they can't build, they steal from us. We lose about $500 billion a year, Chad, in intellectual property theft to China. And third is that they want to make the world increasingly dependent on their technology because it gives them economic and political leverage. So that's the stakes that are at the table here, right? And it's really focused, as you said, around a handful of really key advanced strategic technologies: artificial intelligence, quantum, chips, and robotics. Whoever wins that game, the ball game. So that's me putting it out there just as true as it can be.
Yeah. So right now, I mean, where is the U.S. on this development compared to where China is? I mean, are we ahead of them right now, or are they catching up, or are we behind the eight ball?
Yeah. So in many of the areas we're tied. In some of them, they're a little ahead. And that's why it's so important that our policymakers focus on, okay, this game for technology is going to decide all the marbles. We have to do whatever we can to accelerate American innovation, right? A good example of that was what we recently did with the passage of the CHIPS bill that said, hey, listen, we need to make more advanced microchips here in the United States. We can't have the majority of them being built in Taiwan, which is just 100 miles away from China. And if that supply chain gets interrupted, boy, that's going to be a problem. So that was a great first step. Secondly, President Trump was great to raise the alarm when he was president to say, hey, look, China doesn't play by the fair rules. They are our strategic competitor, and we have to do everything to slow them down. President Biden's carried on a lot of that as well. And Texas, for its own part, has done a great job in this too, right? You guys have passed the CHIPS bill down there for your state level, and that's going to really help us make sure that we have a pipeline of talent, and Texas remains a leader in technology. But we have to do everything possible at the state and federal level to make sure we are accelerating innovation and not handcuffing it.
What are some examples of lawmakers handcuffing innovation when it comes to artificial intelligence or just overall technology?
Yeah. So there's a couple examples right off the bat, right? So last year, Congress tried to pass a whole bunch of antitrust bills that would have taken America's biggest innovators and set them up to be split up or restrict what lines of business they could be in. They wanted to reduce the number of mergers and acquisitions they could do. But all of those things would have undermined our ability to innovate. That's kind of part one. Mm-hmm. One thing that they're talking about now that the Federal Trade Commission and the Department of Justice just came out with is they are proposing new merger guidelines. Now, look, mergers aren't sexy, but they're really important to our economy because that's basically what they want to try and do is say, hey, big tech companies and other large companies cannot buy certain other companies because it leads to concentration of power, et cetera. Let me tell you how this would affect Texas. In the last 5 years alone, Texas startups have received $21 billion in venture capital funding, right? 80% of those companies will never go public. They will be acquired by some larger company. And that's how the investors get their money back. That's how new ideas get to market faster. And that's how Texas has been an ongoing leader in technology in America. But if the government restricts who can acquire these really smart, savvy Texas startups, that's going to make it harder to raise capital for those startups. And it's going to hurt Texas's competitiveness. So, it's not just America has a stake in this. Everybody in Texas has a stake in making sure that we're doing things that help innovation, not throttle innovation.
Is this just when it comes to trying to beat China and hold that competitive advantage? Is this just an issue for large American businesses, or does this have an impact? Can it have an impact on the mom and pop, the small businesses that we see around the country?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I can tell you what, it affects the entire technology industry as a starting point, right? From your large companies, your mid-sized, your startups. But secondly, it also affects all of those small businesses who use technology tools and technology platforms to find new customers, to penetrate new markets, and to make their business grow and go, right? And I think Texas has 3 million small businesses, right? I mean, it's I think the biggest amount in the country. Yeah. All of those have a stake in this as well. And so, lawmakers have to be really smart. And I understand that some of them are frustrated with the tech industry and tech companies because they don't always get it right. And, both the left and the right are frustrated at times. But at the end of the day, the solutions they're talking about doing don't actually solve those problems. And the 3 biggest threats to our global tech leadership are China, our own lawmakers, and then also Europe is getting on the game too, because they're focused specifically on regulating U.S. tech companies. And what that does is that spreads to other countries. Yeah. And then they start trying to target American companies, all of which hurts our ability to win this race.
Visiting with Doug Kelly with the American Edge Project. Let me go back to something that you had mentioned earlier, and that is China stealing technology. It seems like this is, obviously it's a big deal. It's a major issue that really only gets into the headlines maybe once every couple of years when a presidential candidate says something about it, and then you never hear about it again. Unless you're probably in the tech field, then you hear a lot about it. But I think for the average American, they don't hear about this attack on our businesses, an attack on our businesses that we have. You don't hear about it that often as you do maybe some other issues. One, how big of an issue is it? And two, are we seeing enough done in Congress to try and prevent this theft?
Yeah. So first of all, this is an enormous problem. FBI Director Christopher Wray said there is no greater threat to innovation than the Chinese government. And again, when I talk about China and the problems with China, I'm not talking about the Chinese people, right? They are hardworking people. It's the communist Chinese government that is the problem, because they're the ones who are directing the show, and they're the ones who are doing the top-down policies to try and steal our technology. So yeah, this is a huge problem. And just to give you the scope of the problem, China has the largest hacking program in the world. It's focused on U.S.'s advanced technologies like AI and quantum. They have 100,000 people, from hackers to data analysts to even linguists and translators, who are part of this group called the Cyber Corps in China, that are focused on our technology. And they outnumber the tech guys at the FBI by a factor of 50 to 1.
Wow.
Right? So so that's just coming from the mainland, right? But they also have sleeper agents into U.S. companies. They have forced tech transfers of companies doing business in China. So this is a real problem. And I would say that, lawmakers are becoming increasingly aware of it. There's a select committee on China in the House, which has really done a lot of good work in looking at what the problems are with China, some of its tactics that's using to steal our tech, and the threat that they pose to our national security. But, at the same time, there was a recent U.S. trade rep decision, and when we're negotiating with other countries about how do we deal with the digital economy, they withdrew a couple of really key provisions for American companies overseas that would limit, basically, it would allow companies to take source code from American companies, other countries to take source code from American companies. And that just is going to help China. And so we need to really hold the line against things that help China and hurt our innovators.
Visiting with Doug Kelly of the American Edge Project. Doug, how can people follow what you're doing and what the American Edge Project is doing and get more information?
Yeah, they can find us on the web at theamericanedgeproject.org. That's americanedgeproject.org. And go there and you can see what I'm talking about here. We write a lot of content up there. And I would urge your audience, because they're really active and they're engaged, pick up the phone tomorrow and call their U.S. senators and House members and say, hey, listen, Texas is a great leader in technology. You're doing some things in D.C. that could hurt our ability to compete against China, and make sure you're helping accelerate innovation and not hamstring it. If they do that, that's going to have a big impact.
All right, great. Doug Kelly, CEO of the American Edge Project, thank you for your time. Good to speak with you again.
Chad, thanks so much. You take care now.
All right, you too. That's Doug Kelly with the American Edge Project right here on the Chad HD Show. We'll be right back.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton. Thursday edition Clay Travis, Buck Sexton show. We will break down the fourth and potentially final Republican primary debate before voting begins in Iowa and in New Hampshire. Plus, Buck.
Looking at how the Israel-Hamas war continues to progress and the voices here at home that continue to show their anti-Semitism. We'll discuss that coming up on Clay and Buck.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, tomorrow morning at 11.
Mr. Rogers said, look for the helpers. You can always find people who are helping. Thank you to all the first responders who put their lives in danger to help us when my brothers and sisters need them. We look out for the helpers because they look out for us. Thank you, first responders! Thank you, first responders!
Help us help first responders in your community today. Go to firstrcf.org to learn more.
Bank on better.
All right, welcome back to the Chad HD Show. It's time for your Spotlight on Texas Business, brought to you by Texas Mutual. Texas Safe, Texas Strong, TexasMutual.com. We begin with a story out of the Houston Chronicle. Earlier this week, details emerging about Universal Kids Resort, set to open in 2026. Universal Destination and Experiences sharing a peek of its under construction North Texas theme park, fit for families and young children, nearly 100 acres in Frisco, Texas. During a press conference, Universal leaders said in Frisco, Mayor Jeff Cheney unveiled a rendering of the park and its names, which is Universal Kids Resort. Tourists and families with youngsters will be able to spot the park easily with a roadway heading into the theme park to be named Universal Parkway. The theme park leaders announced on Friday details about the park's attractions have not been announced yet, but it's expected to have at least 4 immersive themed lands, along with a 300-room themed hotel with a resort-style swimming pool. And others pondered if some of those themed lands could include characters like those from SpongeBob and the Shrek movies. Universal has previously used SpongeBob for parade appearances and the like, while Universal Orlando Resort Theme Park plans to use Shrek and Trolls characters on new land next year. So that's on track for being built by 2026 in Frisco, which Frisco obviously has just been an exploding part of Dallas-Fort Worth. How about this one? A $100 million golf club will be built southwest of Fort Worth. This is from the Dallas Morning News. 240-acre Kelly Ranch Golf Club planned for a 2025 opening. The Fort Worth-based golf operator, Escalante Golf, planning a $100 million golf course development just south of Fort Worth. In Aledo, it'll be about 20 minutes from downtown Fort Worth. The new 18-hole private course will be built on the Kelly Ranch community, planned to include 2,500 new homes as well. Probably be pretty pricey to pay. Giant retailer Costco will be buying a Dallas office tower for $14 million, according to WFAA. Costco set to purchase a 10-story office building along US 75 next to its Dallas stores after the building's owner filed for bankruptcy protection. The giant retail giant made the highest offer of $14.25 million for North Central Plaza 1, roughly 198,000 square foot office building just off the North Central Expressway. So Costco obviously doing very well. They get to buy a giant office building. Spotlight on Texas business brought to you by TexasMutual.com. Texas safe, Texas strong, TexasMutual.com. Some text messages coming in on the text line, 806-680-2790. Robert in Oklahoma asking, what do you suppose of the effort of Kevin McCarthy is to run for governor of California? After all of his comments, sounds like he still wants to be involved. Oh, I'm sure he still wants to be involved. He's going to be going and making some money somewhere. He'll be on the speaking circuit. He'll be making some money. I doubt he runs for governor of California. He'll be making money elsewhere. And then another texture, who in the world wants to be mayor of a supposedly conservative West Texas city that has over $1 billion in debt with interest rates going up? Well, hopefully someone does, or else that debt's going to grow a lot more.
The Chad Hasty Show, a presentation of the Texas Town Square Media Network. The views and opinions expressed during the Chad Hasty Show are not necessarily the views of this station staff, management, advertisers, or Town Square Media.
News sponsored by the...
Broadcasting from the great state of Texas, this is The Chad Hasty Show. News and views with a Lone Star perspective. You can sound off during the show by sending Chad a text at 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. Or call in at 1-800-687-0790. Now, here's Chad Hasty.
Welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show. Final hour of the program. Hope you're having a wonderful evening. If you missed the audio of the presidents of Harvard, MIT, and Penn being questioned by Congresswoman Lee Stefanik, we'll play that audio for you here in this hour. When she was asking the simple question of, is it okay for students on your campuses to call for the genocide of Jews? Is that something that's allowable on the campuses of Harvard, MIT, and Penn? We'll play that audio here in just a little bit. If you have not heard it yet, it's something you got to hear. You got to hear it. These are places that are educating our youth. They're not the only ones. They're not the only ones who believe this way. But it's you got to hear it right from them, right from these leaders. From these college campuses. We had a texter at the very end of the hour. Well, I guess they texted it right a little bit earlier, but I got to it at the end of the hour. Who was asking who in the world would want to be mayor of a supposedly conservative West Texas city that's over $1 billion in debt with interest rates going up. I hope a good conservative. I hope a good conservative would want to be mayor. You know, so many times we get caught up in what's going on nationally, what's going on in the Oval Office, what's happening in the halls of Congress, who the Speaker of the House is. We forget to focus on who the mayor is, and who your city council members are, and who your county commissioners are, who your school board members are. If you were to go to a random place tonight or tomorrow, if you're out Christmas shopping, you're going to your local mall, your outdoor shopping center, and you were to stop people and ask them, hey, who's your city council person? Who's your county commissioner? And who's the mayor? What percentage of people you think would get all of them right? It's probably very few. Yet they're in your own community. They are the ones who are impacting you the most. They are the ones who are really going after you when it comes to taxes. Yeah, the federal government does too. But you want to see how much the local school districts and county commissioners and city councils can impact your fees and taxes that you pay? You better hope somebody good runs. You know, the most I heard about this Lubbock City Council is that you don't hear anything from the Lubbock City Council. That they're not making news. They're not. Well, that's good. They weren't trying to blow things up. They weren't trying to spend so much money. They were actually trying to do good. And I don't know why Mayor Trey Payne has decided not to run again. I'm not completely sure. You know, as always, there's always chatter. But I don't know. I haven't spoken to him about the reason why he's not running. I know he wanted to get more people involved. I know he wanted one of the big things he wanted to do was get more people to care about what's happening in the city of Lubbock. And I don't know if he feels like he accomplished that or not. But you better hope somebody good runs. You better hope that somebody who is a good conservative will run. Otherwise, you bring up the debt, and the debt load in Lubbock, yeah, it's high. It could be higher. I know this piece came out the other day that Lubbock was one of the worst run cities in America. Bull. It's not. Yeah, you always see these stories that come out about. It's always like from a wallet hub. A wallet hub. You know what I'm talking about, Nick, right? You know, these wallet hub type stories where these are the most ideal places to live, or this is the most easy on the eyes place to live, whatever that may mean. Well, someone did the story about how Lubbock is one of out of the top 50, I think, cities. That Lubbock is like number 48, the 48th worst run city in the United States. Let me tell you something. And by the way, no other Texas city made the list. I'm calling BS on that right now. You don't think Austin is a worse run city than Lubbock? Come on. Have you spent any time in Austin, Texas? You can't get anywhere in Austin. You're stuck on I-35 the entire time. If you do happen to make it to downtown Austin, you're going to get accosted by homeless people. But they always throw in there, how green the city is. That's where Lubbock gets dunked on. That's where Lubbock and a lot of West Texas cities get dunked on is the amount of green space that's out there. Solar farms, whatever it may be. That's where some West Texas cities get hit because we're not green enough. We don't have enough big government moving people around. We don't have we don't have trains moving people around. We don't have the subway system. We have a bus system in Lubbock that, I think 3 or 4 people outside of Texas Tech ride on. You see the buses driving around Lubbock, they're empty. Unless you're on the Tech campus. Then they're full. Because nobody wants to walk anywhere. But on the it's on the Tech campus, yeah, they're all on the buses. outside the city, no. So you better hope somebody good wants to run. And hopefully they do a good job. I think Trey Payne did a great job. I thank him for his service to the city of Lubbock. I don't know what's next for him. He may just go back to being a private citizen. Maybe he wants to run for something else in the future. I don't know. But I applaud Trey Payne and thank him for his service and wish him the best of luck moving forward. And I think him not running again, it's a loss for the city of Lubbock. It's a loss for the leadership in Lubbock and in West Texas. 806-680-2790. When we come back, we'll play that audio from the leaders of the prestigious universities in America. We'll be right back.
The Chad Hasty Show can be heard all over West Texas, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Tune in on News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO in Lubbock, News Talk 940 in Amarillo, News Talk 94.7 and 1470 KYYW in Abilene, and in Wichita Falls on News Talk 96.3 and 1290. The Chad Hasty Show. Make it a part of your drive home, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton. Thursday edition Clay Travis, Buck Sexton show. We will break down the fourth and potentially final Republican primary debate before voting begins in Iowa and in New Hampshire. Plus, Buck.
Looking at how the Israel-Hamas war continues to progress and the voices here at home that continue to show their anti-Semitism. We'll discuss that coming up on Clay and Buck.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton. Tomorrow morning at 11.
Want some thick, juicy...
Reynolds Test Drive of the Week. Thursday mornings at 7:35 during Sunrise LBK. News Talk KFYO.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. With the kids...
All right, welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show. So, yesterday, video went around of Congresswoman Elise Stefanik out of New York having a back and forth with the presidents of Harvard, MIT, and Penn, asking a very simple question about would it be acceptable, would it be okay for students to march and call for the genocide of Jews on your college campuses. Now, you would think this would be a softball. Well, of course not. No, we would never allow this to happen. Now, the audio here is about 3 minutes long or so. But I want you to hear what these presidents have to say, and then think about this as they're answering the questions. What if she had asked, hey, what if a bunch of students had decided to march against transgendered students? What if a bunch of students had decided to march against the trans community and not call for genocide, just to call for transgender men not to compete against girls? And think about what their answers would be. Let's go ahead and play the audio.
Dr. Kornbluth, at MIT, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate MIT's code of conduct or rules regarding bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
If targeted at individuals, not making public statements.
Yes or no? Calling for the genocide of Jews does not constitute bullying and harassment?
I have not heard calling for the genocide for Jews on our campus.
But you've heard chants for intifada.
I've heard chants, which can be anti-Semitic depending on the context, when calling for the elimination of the Jewish people.
So those would not be according to the MIT's code of conduct or rules?
That would be investigated as harassment if pervasive and severe.
Ms. McGill, at Penn, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's rules or code of conduct? Yes or no?
If the speech turns into conduct, it can be harassment. Yes.
I am asking specifically calling for the genocide of Jews. Does that constitute bullying or harassment?
If it is directed and severe or pervasive, it is harassment.
So the answer is yes.
It is a context-dependent decision, Congresswoman.
It's a context-dependent decision. That's your testimony today. Calling for the genocide of Jews is depending upon the context. That is not bullying or harassment. This is the easiest question to answer yes, Ms. McGill. So is your testimony that you will not answer yes?
If it if the
yes
speech
or
becomes
no?
If the speech becomes conduct, it can be harassment. Yes.
Conduct meaning committing the act of genocide? The speech is not harassment? This is unacceptable, Ms. McGill. I'm going to give you one more opportunity for the world to see your answer. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's code of conduct when it comes to bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
It can be harassment.
The answer is yes. And Dr. Gay, at Harvard, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
It can be, depending on the context.
What's the context?
Targeted as an individual, targeted at an individual.
It's targeted at Jewish students, Jewish individuals. Do you understand your testimony is dehumanizing them? Do you understand that dehumanization is part of anti-Semitism? I will ask you one more time. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric.
And is it anti-Semitic rhetoric?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric, when it crosses into conduct that amounts to bullying, harassment, intimidation, that is actionable conduct, and we do take action.
So the answer is yes, that calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard Code of Conduct, correct?
Again, it depends on the context.
It does not depend on the context. The answer is yes, and this is why you should resign. These are unacceptable answers across the board.
So there you go. That's Elise Stefanik there out of New York. But you hear what they're all programmed. All these people are programmed the same way. It's because, one, they're scared to death of their professors. They're scared to death of the students rising up against them. Well, it depends on the context. You see, if you just call for the genocide of Jews, it really depends on the context whether or not that's bullying. Okay, let's say you had a bunch of conservatives marching on campus saying, we're against transgenderism. You think they'd say anything like, well, it depends on the context if that's bullied or not? No, all those students would be suspended. They'd all be thrown off of campus. If you had a bunch of students marching against boys competing in girls' sports, well, that's a hate crime. That you can't do that. No, that's bad. And folks, that's the type of thinking that's going on college campuses around the United States. Sure, they highlighted Harvard. They highlighted Penn and MIT. Listen, those are three well thought of universities. Nick, is that fair to say that they're well thought of? Yeah, well thought of universities. Allegedly, very smart people get into those universities. Allegedly, smart people run those universities, but they didn't sound very smart in that line of questioning. They sounded pretty stupid to me. Well, it depends on the context. If you have a bunch of students who are marching and calling for the genocide of Jews, it only really gets to the point where we're offended if something actually happens. If an act is actually carried out, like if you actually had people on campus murdering Jewish students, well then obviously we'd have to take action at Harvard. But since that's not happening, it's okay. It's fine. What if you had a bunch of Israeli students, a bunch of Jewish students, marching for the elimination of Hamas on campus? I wonder what the universities would say then. What if you had a bunch of Jewish students walking around who maybe were carrying posters and chanting about how there never was a Palestinian state? You can look it up. About how there never was a Palestinian state. I wonder what the leaders of Harvard, MIT, Penn, and other universities would do at that point. Would that be bullying? Would that be harassing? This is going on American college campuses, folks. And you wonder why the students are the way they are? Right there. When that's your leadership, guess what the students are going to turn out like? When the leadership can't get it together, when the leadership can't figure out that calling for the genocide of students on campus, calling for the genocide of Jewish people, of which you have Jewish students on the college campus who would fall into that genocide, that would be harassment. But I guarantee you, none of those college presidents would have a tough time answering a question about, hey, what if a bunch of people were protesting boys, men, who are competing in girls' sports? Well, what would you do about that? Would that be considered bullying and harassment? Absolutely, it would be. That would be bigoted. That would be harassment. It would be homophobic. It would be transphobic. It would be all these other phobics. All the phobics would be thrown in. Be an easy answer for the college presidents and college professors to make. But when it comes to the Jewish people, when it comes to Jewish students on college campuses, things get it's a gray area. Really depends on the context of what's going on. Really just can't give a yes or no answer. We'll be right back on the Chad Hasty Show.
Call in to the Chad Hasty Show at 1-800-687-0790. The Chad Hasty Show, broadcasting on the Texas Town Square Media Network. Today's markets from the Texas Department of Ag.
Well, howdy, neighbors. Texas feeder cattle logs reporting prices steady to $10 higher. Cattle futures were down, though. December live cattle futures down at $5 and a nickel, closed at $163.45. January feeder cattle futures down $4.55, closed at $210.15. December cotton futures up, closed at $78.75. December wheat futures down 7 pennies, closed at $6.50 a bushel. December corn down 4 cents, closed at $4.64. January soybean futures down a dime, closed at $12.95 a bushel. December soybean meal futures down $9.30. They closed at $424.40 per ton. December class 3 milk futures up a penny, closed at $16.33 a hundred. January crude oil futures down $2.94, closed at $69.38 per barrel. The Dow Jones down 70 points, closed at 36,054. That's Market Roundup from the Texas Department of Agriculture. I'm your commissioner, Sid Miller. Sold. And remember, friends, have a Merry Christmas.
The Chad Hasty Show brought to you by
95.1 and 790 KFYO. You're listening to the Chad Hasty Show.
All right, welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show. Yes, another GOP debate will be happening. Let's see. I believe it starts at 7 p.m. is when the News Nation debate at the University of Alabama. Got to roll tide on that one. And then will be telecast Wednesday between 8 and 10 p.m. Eastern from the University of Alabama on the upstart cable news outlet News Nation. Nexstar Media, the network's corporate owner, hosts the special broadcast will woo new viewers to his recently assembled collection of media outlets, which will include the CW. So apparently that's where I guess that's where maybe if you're in Lubbock you can find the debate tonight is on the CW. Don't even ask me what channel that's on. I don't know if I get the CW on YouTube TV. I got to look and see. That's what I've got at the house is YouTube TV. So I've got to see if I get the CW. You have Megyn Kelly, who will be moderating the debate with News Nation's Elizabeth Vargas and Eliana Johnson from the Washington Free Beacon. Now, the Washington Free Beacon, it's a pretty conservative website. It's dropped off, fairly from its, heyday, but, they still get some good stories out from the Free Beacon. This might be the best group of moderators that has been assembled for the Republican primary debates so far this year. I mean, that's the shame in all of this is these might be the best moderators that at least group of moderators that we've seen. Who knows? The Republican National Committee, which has placed the bulk of its primary events on outlets owned by Fox, likely watching to see if News Nation's efforts will offer up a viable alternative to reach voters. Michael Korn, the network's president of news, during an interview added, "This is our Super Bowl. We're ready for prime time. We're ready for people to check us out." Well, we'll see. Indeed, the telecast could lure a large audience the News Nation has ever seen. While the network has seen an increase in viewership, it lags well behind Fox News, CNN, and MSNBC. News Nation's most watched news program, Chris Cuomo's weeknight hour at 8 p.m., drew an average of 141,000 people for the 12-month period ending November 28th. In contrast, the Republican debate telecast by NBC Universal last month drew 7.51 million viewers, down from the 12.8 million and 9.5 million who watched the first and second RNC debate on Fox News in August and Fox Business in September. Recent trends suggest News Nation debate will lure a smaller crowd, but still one that's bigger than usual for the operation. So for News Nation, this is a big night for them. And I will say some of their news stories that I've seen from them, they're not too bad. They do a fairly good job. I don't watch News Nation, but they from some of the reporting I've seen, they've done an okay job. But this I can promise you, unless something exceptional happens tonight, this will not change anything within the Republican primary debate. This will not change anything. Donald Trump is still the leader. Donald Trump is still way ahead of everybody else. The latest Monmouth poll had, Ron DeSantis at 17% nationally. Nikki Haley at 11% nationally. She's the one who all the money is going towards now. And she's at 11%. Donald Trump is about 50 points ahead of her. Well, I guess about 40 to 50 points ahead of everybody. Now, again, I would love to see, and I've said it numerous times, I would love to see Trump on a debate stage. I would love to see him versus Ron DeSantis on the debate stage. I think that would be great. I think Trump does have a few things he needs to answer for. But I can tell you this right now: if I were running Trump's campaign, I wouldn't put him on stage. He's leading. He's doing. He's fine. He's going to win the nomination unless something exceptional happens. He's going to win the nomination. Politically, there's no reason for him to be on the debate stage. It can only hurt Donald Trump to be on that debate stage. But as a political nerd, yes, I want to see Trump on the debate stage. But I don't think we're going to see it. I don't think we're going to see it anytime soon. Apparently, ABC and NBC are taking a look at having future primary debates. I don't think anybody wants that. Again, unless you get Trump on the stage, unless you can get Trump up there, I really don't think anyone really cares that much. Even asking you, the audience, how many of you plan on watching tonight's debate? There weren't many of you. Some of you are disappointed that we're not having a watch party here locally. But I think some of you just wanted the free popcorn. I don't blame you. It's pretty good popcorn. That might be the most disappointing thing, is that they're not getting the popcorn. All right, yeah, CW. From 7 to 9 p.m. in the CW, Amarillo, Abilene. You're also getting the, if you can find CW. For a while, I know CW was where everyone under the age of 18 who was female, they would watch the CW. I'm not sure if it's the same anymore. So those of you who are over the age of 25, you may have to do some flipping around in order to find the CW. I have no idea where it's at. That's right. Dawson's Creek. Wasn't it on the CW? It was on the CW. It's fantastic. I can't ever believe the CW's been around that long. That's amazing. It's had staying power. So yeah, there's that's where you can find News Nation, is on the CW. Ask your grandkids, your kids, nieces, maybe some nephews out there. They may know where the CW is, quite possibly. I would ask Nick. I don't think Nick has ever watched the CW. Now, he's over there going, no, I don't think so. What about at the bed and breakfast? You know if they have the CW at the bed and breakfast? Yeah? Okay. At some point, we're going to have to talk about the bed and breakfast on the air. In Juneau, right? In Juneau, the big city of Juneau, Wisconsin. Nick's family, proud owners of a bed and breakfast, new owners of a bed and breakfast. So we're actually thinking about hosting an event in Juneau, Wisconsin, a Chad Hasty Show event, and we just go up there and we have a great time.
And we're going to invite everyone too.
Absolutely,
so everyone, right.
absolutely.
I mean, they have to pay.
Yeah, yeah, we're not paying for anybody.
Right. But they're invited.
Right,
they're invited.
Absolutely,
plenty of space. It's a very large area.
It's like a destination event.
It's a destination event.
Yes,
that's what it is. It's beautiful up there.
It is. I've seen the pictures.
Yeah. If anyone finds themselves in Juneau, Wisconsin,
yeah,
we've all been there.
What's the name again?
It's called Shane Acres.
Shane Acres
Country Inn Bed and Breakfast.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It looks beautiful. It looks fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan.
Good
already.
Good. Yep.
I haven't been there yet, but the pictures, they look beautiful. I like that there's a hot tub right off of one of the suites, and that's the Chad Hasty Presidential Suite, as I call it.
Right.
That is my favorite location. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, there's 3 suites, and one of them, is, like you said, the Chad Hasty Presidential Suite.
Yes.
Not what it's called, but it has a door to an outdoor patio with a hot tub there.
Yeah.
So that's just one of the suites, but there's a pool.
Yeah.
If you like pool activities.
And yes. Maybe not this time of year.
Maybe
in
not.
Wisconsin.
It's a little cold. Now, all the photos we saw, there's some snow on the ground.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah. Hey, maybe you go into the pool first, and then go into the hot tub.
I like it.
Maybe that's a nice, probably an automatic headache.
Yes.
But if you just work out, maybe good for the muscles.
Why not? Yeah.
Why not?
Why not? Athletes do it all the time.
So I hear.
Yeah, they do it all the time. Is there snowmobiling in the area?
Yeah. Yes, there's lots of snowmobiles, and there's a gun range.
Oh, now we're talking.
Just down the road. So there's 2 locations on this street. It's in the middle of it's middle of your stereotypical corn farmland country Wisconsin.
Yes.
So there's not much around. That's why it's country. It's a country inn. It's middle of nowhere, and so right down the road there's a rod and gun club.
Yeah.
And then there's just farmland surrounding. So there's a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables.
It's very peaceful.
Exactly. It's so quiet.
Yeah.
So quiet. There's a little marshland. It's 10 acres.
Yeah.
So a large portion of it is marsh. So we get a lot of wildlife, frogs, turtles, cats, chipmunks. Name other animals. There's a lot of them.
Moose? You got any moose?
I have not seen a moose.
Elk?
I think there maybe lots of wild turkeys.
Okay.
Close
That's
to
not
an elk. It's close.
Now, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Because you said there's a gun club and there's snowmobiling. Can I get on a snowmobile with the gun and just go crazy?
Literally, yeah, you could.
Oh, there we go.
Are you allowed to? I don't know.
Because
you got to talk to
we
the
got some
club.
listeners right now who are thinking, wait a minute. You're telling me there's animals, there's snowmobiling, and guns. We could put together a party.
There's a national trail it's called the Goose Trail, National Goose Trail. So I don't know. You take a little 4-wheeler.
Yeah.
Maybe you'd take a firearm and just go have fun. I don't condone that. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's illegal.
Yeah.
You could take some geese home with you.
Yeah.
Dead or
like
alive.
It.
I don't know.
I like it. Here we go. Okay, thank you to the listener. We've had a correction. We've had an official correction. Flag on the play. I was given false information. Dawson's Creek was on the WB, which is now the CW, a unification of WB and UPN from back in the day. That is correct. Thank you to the listener out there. I was given false info. The crack research team just stuck with the crack on that one. 806-680-2790. But yes, once again, if you're ever up in Juneau, Wisconsin, you can visit our friends at Shane Acres Bed and Breakfast, where we will hold a future Chad Hasty Show event for all of our great listeners there in Juneau, Wisconsin. I've heard we are the number one Texas show in Juneau, Wisconsin from 5 to 7 p.m. So that's just what I've heard. It's the rumor. Haven't confirmed it yet, but that's what I've heard. Let's go ahead and take the break. When we come back, your phone calls, your text messages, maybe more on Dawson's Creek. Dawson's Creek may actually have more viewers than the presidential debate tonight. We'll be right back.
When you have your workers' compensation with Texas Mutual Insurance Company, you don't have to worry about employees or healthcare providers who try to take advantage of you in the system. We're already on it. Our zero-tolerance policy on fraud means you can count on us to investigate workers' compensation fraud when we see it, suspect it, or even hear about it. Since 2018, our Special Investigations team has secured nearly 36 convictions and over $13.5 million in restitution and recoveries from protecting businesses just like yours. And with the largest fraud investigation team in the business, Texas Mutual is the partner you know can uncover and prevent the kind of fraud that could drive up your workers' compensation premium. Fighting workers' comp fraud is just one of the ways Texas Mutual helps to protect your premium dollars and your bottom line. Through our online resources, we'll help you detect and prevent it yourself. And those who report fraud could receive a reward. It's no wonder your business is safer, stronger, better with Texas Mutual. Learn how we can help you prevent fraud and protect your business at texasmutual.com/fraud.
Catch Shooter on the Law with Cole.
All right, welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show as we begin to wrap things up. Hope you're having a wonderful day out there. Tomorrow on the program, Mackenzie DeLulo with the Texan News will join us. Looking forward to that conversation. We'll get you caught up to date with all the stories that they have been that they've been covering. Let's see. This from the folks over at the Hill. Colorado 14th Amendment challenge has state Supreme Court wary of disqualifying Trump. Say the Democrats, they keep going to court trying to get Trump off the ballot. It's not working anywhere, but they are trying this everywhere they can. The Colorado Supreme Court Wednesday appeared wary of disqualifying the former president for the 2024 ballot under the 14th Amendment. Several justices expressing concerns about their authority to intervene. The lawsuit, one of many filed across the nation, seeking to prevent Trump's return to the presidency. The Colorado case on the fastest track, with many legal experts believing the dispute's destined for the U.S. Supreme Court. Trump and plaintiffs both appealing portions of Judge Sarah Wallace's ruling last month that found Trump engaged in insurrection by inciting the January 6, 2021 Capitol riot, but that the 14th Amendment doesn't apply to the presidency. The justices on Wednesday wrestled with many disputed interpretations of the clause's text, raising alarms during the 2-hour deep dive about accepting the plaintiff's arguments. Justice Richard Gabriel said, I guess I'm expressing a concern about the definition of insurrection in the district court adopted. Strikes me as somewhat or potentially overbroad. Just another way the Democrats are trying to prevent Donald Trump from being elected president of the United States. But you know, it's Trump who's going to be the dictator. Trump is the one who's going to bring down democracy. Trump is the one who's going to prevent people from voting again. The Democrats would never, no. They would never do that. They just wave the flags. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Follow me on social media at Chad HD Radio. Don't forget to download the Chad HD Show podcast, the Current in Cask podcast as well. Stay safe, stay healthy. God bless you all. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 5 p.m.
The Chad Hasty Show, a presentation of the Texas Town Square Media Network. The views and opinions expressed during the Chad Hasty Show are not necessarily the views of this station staff, management, advertisers, or Town Square Media.
Hey, it's Chad Hasty. We'll get back to the show.